Hi, I'm Elaine, the eldest of the 3 grow bags, and we do a weekly blog about gardening. So let me show you my garden. It's 60 foot by 50 foot, so not terribly big, and it's a walled garden about 300 yards from Eastbourne seafront. And we made it from just a square patch of lawn surrounded by flower beds about 27 years ago, so we've been here a long time. And as I walk round, I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about the garden. We put in lots of paths. My favourite style of gardening is a cottagey style of garden, and putting in all of these paths with exuberant flower beds all around meant that we could make the whole garden seem a lot bigger than it actually is. That's honesty. We've put in a little pond here, which is wonderful for the wildlife. There's a glowing golden Philadelphus there in a darker corner. Just walking on round, there's the lovely leaves unfurling of the fern, the asplenium fern here. Then up to a very dry, dark and rooty sort of corner with this Arometallicum pictum, looking rather magnificent here. We often get a fox sunbathing just in this corner, and those amazing trunks there are of a huge great Clematis montana, an ancient Clematis montana, which is right up in the tops of the trees round here. Putting little mirrors on our back wall here. The garden is south facing, so this is actually quite a shady facing wall, and so we put in little mirrors to make the garden seem bigger again. I'm just pushing through the honesty here. If the garden was open for the National Garden Scheme, as it has been since 2000, then I would have to tie it back, but I rather like the feeling of pushing through it. The soil here is very, very chalky, so here I've got a Epirus growing in a pot. I wouldn't be able to grow camellias or rhododendrons in the ground here. It does mean that the ground is very free draining. And there's tulips in pots and a rather magnificent Persicaria purple fantasy. Fergus Garrett at Great Dixter told me not to grow it in the ground because it's a bit of a runner, but it does have the most magnificent foliage there. Here I've got a carpet of golden creeping jenny, which just looks like the sun shines on it all the time. And looking back at the flat there, and across to this shadier border, I've got the hellebores, some ferns, and here's the I can't remember the name of it now. Epimedium, yeah, that's right. Those flowers are just going now, and the beautiful tender leaves are just coming. Another super plant for a shadier spot. I'm coming out into the sunshine a bit. Oh, there's my shadow. Got Brunera. This is Alexander's giant, and those lovely white leaves will get much, much bigger once these pretty forget-me-not flowers have finished. coming down underneath an archway of honeysuckle, one of my cottage garden favourites here. This one's Americana, not quite out yet, although you might be able to see the buds just coming on it. And back, walking up one of the other paths here, there's a magnificent tree peony. This one's called Hannah Dai Jin, and it will only look like this for 10 days maximum, which is such a shame. But by golly, when it's out, it's absolutely fabulous. And the compensation here is that you also get these lovely leaves through the rest of the summer, which tone in well with other things, lovely plum coloured stems to them. But it is a very, very beautiful, very, very glorious thing when it's out. And then on the opposite side, we've got wallflowers. I love wallflowers, grew these from seed last year, and the scent is beautiful, and they flower for weeks and weeks and weeks. Just looking across to another of my favourite plants is sweet rocket, Epirus matrinalis, just budding up, coming into flower, and the light coming through the new rose shoots. And that's buff beauty there. Past here, past the rose buds here. This one's Eastbourne, just beginning to show colour. And looking back at the quince blossom. I love quince blossom, it's so delicate and tender, doesn't flower for long. And then across, I'm sorry about the children playing on the green next to us. It's one of the reasons that we felt that we could get rid of the lawn here, because we're right next to a green out there where the children could play cricket or whatever when they were younger. So we thought we could get rid of the grass. But this is an abutilon, Tenant's White, which I grew from a cutting many years ago, and it just loves it in this sheltered garden here. It's quite shallow rooted, and it often gets blown flat in the winter, but we just haul it back up again and away it goes, and that does flower for weeks. Across and carrying on down the path, here's a real sort of walking area. There's all the shoots of seedlings and all sorts of things that I'm growing there, ready for later on. And across, this is a cut-leaved elder, Sambucus nigra, and I love the way that it contrasts with all the bright colours in the garden. Even in a sunnier spot, it's got a lovely dark leaf. And then past a rather magnificent globe artichoke, great for its leaves and its spectacular flowers, not for eating. We're not interested in eating globe artichoke. I don't even like it much, so don't bother with that. But I think it looks pretty wonderful here next to this big euphorbia. Great contrast in form. And then right in the middle of the garden, I've got a very quiet space formed by yew hedges. It's got 4 little exits. It's another way that you can feel that the garden is actually much bigger than you'd think it would be. Alright, then on towards the facing wall again, the mirror. This is Carpus Darts Gold, which is again a nice bright thing to have in a shadier spot. And a shadier border here. This rather pretty thing here is stylophora, I think, stylophora, and it runs a bit, but that's not something that bothers me much, and I like its bright little flower there. I think its leaves are pretty as well. And a fatsia, which was enormous, it was just too big for the space, so I chopped the whole thing right back, and now it's doing what I'd like it to do. I think I shall keep it about that size from now on, just right in this shadier bed here. And Solomon's seal, which is another very lovely plant for shade, polygonatum there, and it gets completely eaten by sawflies later on. There's sawfly larvae, but I don't worry about that. They can have it. It always comes up again each year, so they can have some, and I can have the joy of these new shoots with these pretty little flowers on. And then Selene FM Briana, just getting going here. Another great shade plant. More of the Arometallicum pictum here. And Pulmonaria, very nice. They sometimes get mildew after they finish flowering. They can all get a bit manky and mildewed. So if you chop the whole thing off and give it a really good water, it'll come again. And the leaves will be much nicer and brighter and fine again. So don't panic if it starts to look manky after it's finished flowering. It is savable. This is the gate out into the green here, and that's actually a plaque. I was lucky enough to win the Daily Mail Garden of the Year right back in 2002, so it was a long time ago, but that was an exciting summer. So coming round, there's the cat. Hi Mercedes. Just coming past a pretty plant here. This is Rubus Tridale Benenden. Very pretty single flowers. And underneath there's the Morning Widow geranium phaeum. Just enjoying itself in that semi-shaded spot. Coming past a pergola here. These are the rather pretty seed heads of the Clematis alpina, which is finished now. You can hear the children playing on the green there behind me. This is a golden hop here. Pergola here, and this is Peony Lutea Ludlowii. Laura's very snooty about this plant, but I think it's rather lovely, especially at this time of year amongst these bright green leaves. And across here, lilac palabin, very small flowered lilac with a very, very sweet scent. So just coming out and looking across the garden here. This is Euphorbia mellifera, which is filling the garden with a honey scent at the moment. And a coronilla just finishing just on this corner. And this rose is Countess of Wessex. She's always the first one out in this garden. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour around, and hope that you log into our blog soon.